Hi, I'm Preston Poore, creator of The Disciple Leader. Develop Christ-like character, influence your culture, and change your world. Recently at Colorado State University, I had the honor of delivering the Sigma Chi Beta Tau Chapter 100-year anniversary celebration keynote address to 250 of my fraternity brothers and friends. I encourage you to listen to this message because what I share may be game-changing for you. I share some keys to living a meaningful, purposeful, and significant life. The message may transform the way you interact with people and how you influence your world. You'll learn how the power of generosity, making waves, and enlarging others can make a positive difference. Now, here's developing a significance mindset.
Experiencing a successful career but seem empty on the inside and wonder if there's something more, this message is for you. If you're struggling to determine life's purpose and what truly matters, this message may be for you. If you're a student early in life's journey or an alumnus enjoying retirement and want to learn more about how to make a positive difference in this world, this message may be for you. I encourage you tonight to listen to what I share. It may be the most important 15 minutes of tonight, this week, this month, this year, or potentially your life. Tonight, I want to share with you my thoughts on our need to mentally shift from success to significance. Meaning, how do we think about things, the way we approach life, developing a significance mindset. Now, what does it mean to have a significance mindset? It means to move away from a self-focus to an others focus. From using your time, talents, and resources for your own good to using them for the good of others. To swap adding value to yourself for adding value to others. To transition from spending time on things that don't matter to investing time in things that do. Things that have meaning, things that have purpose. Serving others rather than serving self. John C. Maxwell, the most prolific leadership author and speaker of our time, said this. He said a lot of people believe they're successful because they have everything that they want. They have added value to themselves. But John goes on to say, I believe significance comes when you add value to others. And you can't have true success without significance. Now, does any of this resonate with you? Anybody in here? Raise your hand. Does it resonate with you? Thank you. Do you want to grow beyond success and develop a significance mindset? What would your family, your community, your business, your school, or place of worship look like if you did? What would happen? How would you be able to influence your culture and change your world? Let me share a simple story with you about where I began to learn and develop a significance mindset, shifting to a life that matters. I met Juan in a dump, a city dump. Juan was a pependor, a scavenger. He made his living by rummaging through trash in the Tijuana city dump and reselling what he recovered to local merchants. Everything that he owed came from the dump, his clothes and his food. You've heard the saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Juan and 200 families that live in the landfill are among the poorest of the poor in Tijuana. Homes are created with tarps, pallets, tin scraps, old garage doors even. Whatever residents could find to put a roof over their head. And that rancid odor, I remember it, that rose in the summer heat overwhelmed me but was barely noticeable to its residents. Now you might be scratching your head and wondering, why was Preston in Tijuana? Why was Preston in the Tijuana city dump? Well, I volunteered to go on a mission trip with my church to serve people that lived in the landfill. We aim to help those who could not help themselves, to shine a light into a dark place and invest time, talents, and resources to bring hope to the hopeless. Once we arrived in the dump, we spread out across the canyon, knocking on doors and giving gifts of rice and beans, inviting them to a little vacation Bible school. We shared the school would be including games and music and food. It would be a great time. We also shared that the school would include things like personal hygiene services and supplies. Now why? That might sound funny to you, but if you're in the dump, there's not much water. It's a scarce resource. And the place that I was in was pretty much a third world country. Showering, washing hair, and brushing teeth were all considered a luxury. but it proved to us an opportunity to be so we could show extravagant generosity, love in action. And we did that to the dump residents by providing the hygiene supplies and services. So after making the rounds and inviting the folks in, we set up the school location, including a long line of hair washing stations. Each station included a chair, a couple buckets of water, and some shampoo. It was pretty simple. But what was missing? Volunteers to wash the hair. And I remember a mission trip leader asking, he said, "Who'd like to wash hair today?" I have to admit, I was a little nervous about that. I got a little uncomfortable. I put my head down. I started backing up, not looking the leader in the face. And the leader then started explaining a little more that the women leaders would wash the women's hair and the men would do the men. And I started thinking more and more about it. And I became more and more uncomfortable. But I realized in order to grow, you've got to move out of your comfort zone into what I call the awkward zone. And so I did. So I raised my hand and I said, "I'm in." Soon after the Vacation Bible School started, it was great. I was amazed at the large number of adults actually came out from their residence in the dump. A lot of children came, and we connected with the people through translators, sang songs, watched skits, and broke bread together. And considering their living conditions, I found that the dump residents were a kind, warm-hearted, and gracious bunch. Then came the hair washing. Ladies first, a long line developed, and the pampering for them began. But next, the men lined up, and it was time for me to step up. I went to my assigned station and saw a middle-aged man standing there, urged by a significant other to have his hair washed. He was hesitant at first, I could see it, but slowly he started shuffling toward me. I smiled at him and introduced myself to him, but he just sat down in the chair. He didn't even look me in the eye. I could tell it was a very, very humbling experience for him. Well, I slowly poured some water on his head, applied the shampoo, washed his lice-infested, thick black hair, and it really only took a couple minutes, and then we were done. But Juan offered no gratuity for the washing of his hair other than a smile and a gracias. And he looked me in the eye, man to man. He waved goodbye, and he left with his family. Now, I'm not sure what will ever happen to Juan again or how his life turned out, but I do know that he experienced in that moment happiness and refreshment, and that I played a small role in it. Now, listening to that story, you might think it's a trite experience, but it was a huge, huge experience for me. It was the genesis of my mindset shift from success to significance. It was a moment that mattered, one that took the focus off of me and placed it on others to help someone who couldn't help themselves. This led me to ask the question, how does one develop a significance mindset? And here's what I learned. If you've got your phone with you, or you've got a pen or pencil, you may want to write these down. I'm only going to share them tonight with you. 3 ways to do that. Number one, be generous. The greater the giving, the greater the living. It bears repeating. The greater the giving, the greater the living. Invest your time, your talents, and your resources to benefit others. Instead of spending hours on social media, invest time serving your family, community, school, and place of worship. Leverage your strengths, your talents, and to help someone build things that last, that matter. Lastly, give money to people, churches, and charities. You'll care more about to whom or what you give money. The good book says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. King Solomon said this. He said, the world of generous gets larger and larger, but the world of the stingy gets smaller and smaller. The one who blesses others is abundantly blessed. Those who help others are helped. Even industrial magnate Andrew Carnegie said this. He said, no man becomes rich unless he enriches others. Be generous. That's number 1. Number 2, create waves. Create waves. Mother Teresa said, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. Cast stones in the water to make a positive difference. Now, what do I mean? What do I mean by this? Do you see injustice at work? Speak up. Is someone being bullied? Stick up for them. Is someone you know feeling down? Encourage them. Is someone lacking resources? Meet their need. Shift the focus off yourself and onto others. Look for opportunities to make a positive difference in your sphere of influence and change your world. 2 things that matter. Help the helpless. Be a light in this often dark and chaotic world. Create waves. And number 3, this is going to take a little bit of audience participation. So bear with me as we go through this. I think this will help you. Number 3 is enlarge others. Help people reach their potential through coaching and mentoring. Intentionally invest in them. Now, what I want you to do, each one of your tables, please do this. For a moment, think about somebody who's had a positive or significant impact on your life. Think about that person for just a second. Now, I'm going to do something real quick. Everybody shut your eyes. Don't get comfortable in here, but I want you to shut your eyes and listen to these questions. Close your eyes for just a moment. Picture the individual. Can you see them? Was it a teacher, a coach, a manager, friend, or family member that inspired you to grow? Did they believe in you? Did they bring out the best in you? Looking back, how did they help you? Okay, open your eyes. Remember that person? Do you have a name in mind? Turn to somebody at your table and tell who that was. Go ahead, tell who it was. Who's that person? Good. I don't want to lose control here, but thanks for doing that. Hey, let's turn this around. Let's turn this around real quick. Turn this around. Here's a question now. That you've identified that person that poured into your life. Now let's do this. How do you take what you were given and pour into others? Question again. How do you take what you've been given and pour into others? Imagine someone that you can build up and enlarge. Take a name. Pick a name of somebody that you could pour into. Who would that be? Now do me a favor. Turn to that same person you just mentioned to and mention that name. Go ahead, do it. Share with them that name. Who's that person? Why is this so important? Listen, folks. Listen. Somebody poured in you, and it's time to give it back. I encourage you to intentionally build up your identified person. Invest your time, talents, and resources in them. Listen up here. This is important. Help them reach their potential. Now, I want to ask a question. What happens if you don't invest in people and enlarge them? What happens? Well, composer Giancarlo Menotti, he's an Italian composer, he forcefully stated this. Hell begins on that day when God grants us a clear vision of all that we might have achieved, of all the gifts we wasted, of all we might have done, but we did not do. Let me say that again. Hell begins on the day when God grants us a clear vision of all that we might have achieved, of all the gifts we wasted, and of all that we might have done that we did not do. Unrealized potential is a tragic waste. As an enlarger, you have the privilege of helping others discover and then develop their potential. Enlarge others. I want to drive home one other point. You don't need to be a politician, you don't need to be a CEO, a famous actor, a billionaire, a rock star, or anything else to live a meaningful life. Why? Here's a little statistic for you. Did you know that each individual, even the most introverted individual, will influence up to 10,000 people during their lifetime? 10,000 people, that's right, that's what I said. And so whether you know it or not, you have an incredible influence over others. And if you develop a significance mindset by being generous, creating waves, and enlarging others, you'll be a positive influence and change your world. I want to end tonight with a piece by Michael Josephson titled, What Will Matter? Ready or not, someday it will come to an end. There will be no more sunrises, no minutes, hours, or days. All the things that you collected, whether treasured or forgotten, will pass to someone else. Your wealth, fame, and temporal power will shrivel in irrelevance. It will not matter what you own or what you owed. Your grudges, your resentments, your frustrations, and jealousies will finally disappear. So too your hopes, ambitions, plans, and to-do lists will expire. The wins and the losses that once seemed so important, they're going to fade away. It won't matter where you came from or what side of the tracks that you lived on in the end. It won't matter whether you were beautiful or brilliant. Even your gender and your skin color will be irrelevant. So what will matter? What will matter? How will the value of your days be measured? What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. Not what you got, but what you gave. Your matter is not your success, but your significance. What will matter is not that you learned what you learned about, but what you taught. What will matter is every act of integrity, compassion, courage, and sacrifice that enriched and empowered and encouraged others to emulate your example. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. What will matter is not how many people you knew, but how many will feel a lasting and a loss when you're gone. What will matter is not the memories that you have, but the memories of those who loved you. What will matter is how long you will be remembered and by whom and for what. Living a life that matters doesn't just happen by accident. It's not a matter of circumstance, but choice. Choose to live a life that matters. In closing, my friends, if you don't mind, I want to get a little personal with you for just a minute and ask you a few provocative questions. Think about this. Do you have a desire to live a significant life, one that matters? And if so, why? What do you need to do to shift from a success mindset to a significance mindset? What actions will you take? When will you do it? Don't hesitate. Do it now. Why wait? Who will share your plan with? Who will you share your plan with? Who's going to be your accountability partner in that? Who's going to help you make that shift? Lastly, if you're interested or curious in things of faith, matters of faith, my question to you is this, is in whom do you place or look to for your significance? I do, for God. If anything in tonight's message resonated with you, or the questions that I just asked inspired you to think or behave differently, I'd love to hear from you and learn how I might be able to help you. May you choose a life that matters, develop a significance mindset, and make a positive difference in your world. God bless and hope, and thank you.